So there is still a problem with Whirlwind. I know I'm not a Barb player, but I have to mention this because I did try to, like I said, make a Barb this season because I wanted to make it playable. And what I wanted was to have a dual curse Barb with the Ray cores and make it a Whirlwind Barb. Now, I know that's not the optimal way to build it. I don't care. That's what I wanted. And I guess the issue was it wasn't working. I mean, it just wasn't good. So I went with Frenzy and tried that out for a bit and made the video on that, and that worked a little better. So I decided, I was like, well, instead of testing things myself, what I'll do is I will go and actually look at a guide, because there's got to be something I'm doing wrong here. There's plenty of people that will play Whirlwind. It shouldn't be this painful to play it. And I've kind of figured out what the problem was. Well, first of all, my PDR wasn't high enough. So I did get that armor, which at this point is basically as good as a Fortitude with PDR on it. And getting 50% PDR definitely helps. I was using the Iron Skin before. But when I went to the Barb Discussion Discord, and you guys can go see these, go here and go to pinned messages, you can look at Fluppet's dual wielding guide. And Fluppets, if you don't know who he is a pretty good Barb player. I've seen a couple of his videos on YouTube. And then I looked up Whirlwind, and I went, what is that? 1 point in Whirlwind. I'm a Whirlwind Barb. Like, I got the Iron Skin thing. I knew to do that. I knew to do General Mastery. I knew to do Battle Command because it was worth more damage. And I know Whirlwind doesn't scale well. But that kind of blew my mind. And then I started talking to some Barb players and like, yeah, it messes with the frames and how fast you attack and a bunch of other stuff. So we have an issue with this class where your main skill, you only get 1 point in. Can you name another class that works like that? Where you're worse off putting points into the skill you're going to be using, as opposed to anything else on your tree. It's only on Barb. Only on Barb. I mean, think about it. If you made a Zeal Paladin and someone told you, hey, by the way, the secret to Zeal Paladin is to not put points into Zeal, you'd say they were crazy. But now that I've done this, even on maps with physical immunes, because I have Amp, this is what I wanted to do with this Barb, run maps with physical immunes that I couldn't really run effectively with my Amazon. And now it works just fine. I'm getting the curses to pop off. I have enough PDR to get through things. I know that was probably my fault for going with a Fortitude instead of a big PDR chest like I have. But that's kind of amazing, isn't it? That 1 point in Whirlwind is actually the best way to build a Whirlwind Barb. So I want to point out that, again, everyone hated my Whirlwind videos. I still don't like this. Is a much better version of Whirlwind. But what I said last season was that Whirlwind was so clunky and unplayable that if you didn't know all the tricks to it, it was basically just being carried by weapons. It wasn't actually a good build anymore. It wasn't like LOD where it was fun and kind of easy. It was being carried by Stone Crushers. It was being carried by the reworked Grandfathers in PD2. And sure enough, they made the changes that I basically said needed to be made. I'm not saying I'm the one who caused that, but I wasn't that far off from what the developers ended up doing, which was making Whirlwind more accessible and easier to use so you can just hold down right click. But the problem still here is it seems so unintuitive that even through a bunch of testing, I had to go figure out for myself, wow, something's off with me maxing Whirlwind. I mean, how is a regular player supposed to figure that out? Someone who's not in Pluggy, not making videos, not trying to test things. If you're just a regular player and you want to make a Whirlwind Barb, your first instinct should be to max out Whirlwind. That's the skill you're using. Even with guides out there, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know how they have to change this to fix this, but something needs to be done so that when you make a Whirlwind Barb, maxing out Whirlwind should be the obvious choice. And I don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's take the velocity, change the frames, do whatever. But this is just plain weird, and I don't like it. Like this class, but Whirlwind I still think needs some reworks here. You just shouldn't have 1 point in your main skill. That shouldn't be the way to play things. Either way. I just want to show that I can dual curse things with a Whirlwind Barb. It's just ridiculous. This is why I love my Elizabeth Olsen. It doesn't work as well as just using a fucking Cranium Basher, but I have 2 curses. It's so fun.